Good morning, Fargo. Tony Gehrig, Fargo City Commissioner. This is your recap for the November 20th of last year meeting. Here on a snow day, kids home from school, so I'm here doing videos. We made it in, so glad to be here. For this meeting, there are two items that I want to talk about. One, they're both having to do with tax incentives for businesses. The first one was what I think was the more interesting conversation. Was about a pilot for an apartment building in downtown Fargo, Cathedral Lofts. The owner was a little bit miffed or upset because he feels that we're kind of changing the game. We're moving the goalposts. People who, at one point a few years ago, who applied for these type of incentives, received them and moved forward with their project without very much fuss. That's why I'm here. Things do change, and when new ideas come up and new people get elected, and those ideas, they tend to make policy. So I have made it my policy to fight against and resist incentives and try to change that system, and we've had some success in doing so. We've had some commissioners come along and say no to things like apartments, especially in the downtown area, that get the most incentives. So we've had some commissioners say they won't support an incentive for an apartment unless there's some low-income housing in there or whatever. But the reality is these apartments are profitable from day one. The land is becoming more and more expensive, so it's harder for them to get a hold of that land, which drives the cost up for these kinds of things. But that's the economy. That's the market. When things are popular, they're more expensive, and when they're in limited supply, then they're more expensive as well. So in downtown, you have limited land that's very popular. The cost is going to go up. So with that understanding, when things become too expensive to bother with, that's the market saying that's enough. There's enough of these. And then when there's a greater demand, then that can come back up. So people will decide with their wallets what they want to do, but I have said that we don't need to be incentivizing apartments. We certainly don't need to be incentivizing apartments downtown. We have plenty of those that go on without incentives, and if it's worthwhile to do without incentive, you can do that. And by the way, as far as moving the goalposts, for the last 37 years we've been incentivizing downtown. Over the last 20 years, we've really been hitting the gas hard on those incentives. So over the past couple decades, when I was in high school, basically, we were doing these things, and nothing really changed in that regard. Now things are starting to change because that's what's required. You need to look at your policies more than every 2 decades and make changes and tweaks and make sure you're doing things the right way for the people of Fargo and for the taxpayers. So I don't think we're moving the goalposts. I don't think we're moving too quickly. If it were up to me, these incentives would be gone, and that's not what's happened. We've simply been more choosy. We've given more scrutiny to these incentives than has happened in the past, and that's what should happen. These are your tax dollars that we're playing with, and as I've said in the past, and I won't go over it all again, it shouldn't be happening anymore. So that was a 3-1 vote. I believe that Commissioner Grimberg was not there, but I don't remember off the top of my head who was not there. The second one was just a pilot, a Renaissance Zone exemption for a business called Power Plate downtown. And again, it's the Renaissance Zone has run its course. This is one of the less offensive type of incentives because it's short term, a 5-year term. But again, people want to come down here. No one's struggling to find people that want to go downtown. In fact, in a later video, we'll talk about how we're denying people liquor licenses to come downtown because there's so many of them. I disagree with that notion. But we're not struggling to find businesses that want to come here. So two incentives, 3-1 vote on both of them, and I'll continue to vote against the incentives. And I think you'll continue to see public opinion changing on the requirements of these things. So that was the November 20th meeting for the Fargo City Commissioner. I'm Tony Gehrig, and keep watching how we're spending your tax dollars. Thank you.